everybody, Matt Kelvey from Suburban K9.
And I'm Holly Wengerski.
We're here to talk to you about your new puppy. So today specifically, we're going to talk about day one with a puppy, just the stuff we tell clients every day, what to do, what not to do with a new puppy. Starting, I think we can start with the crate. This is a super important part. What do you tell clients when it comes to a crate?
So typically when you bring your dog home, crate training is huge. You want your dog to be in their own space, not attached to you at the hip, 24/7 around the house. So overnight, we recommend having the crate in their room. Because of the fact that the puppy is being taken away from its mom, there's a lot going on. It'll also just set you up for success, so you don't have to run downstairs, take the puppy out. When it's in your room, the dog being able to see you helps a ton.
I agree. I like your point about keeping it in the room. It's hard, right, for a dog in his first day. He's away from home. He's away from his mom. He's probably with a bunch of siblings before that. All of a sudden, they're in a new place, and a lot of clients seem to like to put the dog in a laundry room or somewhere different, and that can be really stressful for him. So 100% agree. In their room is so much better.
Absolutely.
We often will recommend multiple crates as well, which I think you're starting to touch on a minute ago. It can be a lot easier to have a crate downstairs and a crate upstairs. So if you have multiple crates, you could have one in the bedroom and have one in the laundry room or by the front door and use those together.
And a good end goal is that they are comfortable in a room down the line, but day one, it's so much better to have them inside of you when you're actually out and about in the house and have some healthy separation.
So after talking about the crates, let's talk about how often to get a puppy outside. This is huge. A lot of people stress about this and don't know how often to do it. What's your thought?
A lot. So you basically want to take your puppy out, every 30 minutes to an hour in the beginning. I know it seems like a lot. If they're free in the house, they don't know whether or not to go inside or outside. So you have to teach them what's right by setting up success, right? Bringing them out, giving them praise when they go, bringing them back in, and just doing it over and over and over again.
Agreed. And remember, we're talking about puppies' first day. So you said a half hour. Love that advice.
Yeah.
If you've had the dog for 4 months, hopefully you're not taking out every half hour anymore. But that first day, they're presumably around 8 weeks old. They've got tiny little bladders. They have no idea what's expected of them. So as much as you possibly can.
And keep in mind when they're that young too, if they're in their crate, you don't need to take them out every 30 minutes. They can hold it a lot longer in the crate. I usually say, 2 hours, 3 hours when they're that age, typical puppy age, 8 weeks or so. You don't want to go beyond that. You want to take them out and let them out. But when they're free in the house, definitely more frequent, the better.
Yeah, and to your point there, every dog's different. And overnight, it could be 2 hours, it could be 3, it could be 6. And it depends on the breed. We see big breeds. Mastiffs are generally so much easier to housebreak than a Havanese.
My dog was 10 weeks when he was able to hold it 7 hours overnight, which was impressive.
Yeah, so we always recommend, I tell a client, don't wake them up to take them outside. If it's been 5 hours and you think, can they hold it? You have your answer. If they haven't peed and they're not barking, they're fine. So I would just let them sleep. And just know if you have a really small dog, most likely you're going to be on that 2 hour window. And if you've got a Mastiff, maybe you're lucky and you get to sleep through the night.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's also a lot of good key times to take your dog out. What do you think the best key times are?
That's a good question. I would say, some of the common ones, of course, are right after the dog eats. That's a huge one. We often use the phrase, they owe us one, meaning if they've eaten and they haven't had a bowel movement, we know they need to, so I'd be taking them out. That's the biggest one.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That one, and also just anytime you let them out of the crate in general. It could even be after they're in the crate for 20 minutes. That's usually what I'll recommend.
Agreed completely. I tell clients the second they wake up, I don't care if they've been napping on the dog bed right there for 10 minutes, they wake up, I'm running them outside immediately, especially that first day.
I've also had a lot of dogs that during active playtime as well, they're playing for 15 minutes, then all of a sudden they pop a squat on the ground, so that's something to keep in mind as well.
Great point. And my thought on that one is they're distracted, right? They're not thinking about how they have to pee, and honestly, little kids do the same thing. They're so busy, they're having fun, and all of a sudden, I have to go to the bathroom.
An accident.
Now they go on the
release
floor.
It, for sure.
Yep, and back to your point of taking them out often, and you could just break up that playtime, run them outside to go to the bathroom, and come back in.
Yeah, love it.
Well, we've talked about crate time overall, like where to put the crate, and overnight. We've talked about housebreaking, of course, that's a big one, taking them out as much as possible. We haven't talked about using the crate proactively throughout the day, and I'm assuming you're always talking to clients about that.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with families, kids get super duper excited that they brought a puppy home, so it's really important to have rest time, whether that be in a dog bed. Utilizing the crate when they're tired is great too, because they're already tired, chances are they're gonna nap. It builds up that separation once again. So that's usually what I'll recommend, having key times. I remember when I got my puppy, I'm like, how long do puppies sleep? Googling, because I had no idea. And it was literally like 18 hours. They sleep so much. So, yeah.
Yeah. And to that point, once again, tying it back to young kids, some puppies get overtired. So we often will talk to a client and they're telling us the puppy's going nuts. He's growling. He's got the zoomies. He's ripping around the house like a maniac. And sometimes it's because they're not exercised enough. Other times it's the opposite. They've been busy. They don't know how to calm down. So you put them in the crate, and sometimes you'll see they go in the crate, they turn a couple circles, they lay down, and they conk out, and that's what they need.
Exactly. Don't feel guilty about using that crate for rest time.
Right. And the crate, it's also good to just start these habits right away. The last thing we want is separation issues where a dog doesn't know how to handle the crate. So I do like from day one, they're already learning that sometimes they have to be out. They can't be out all the time.
Agreed with that. That's for sure.
I think one thing we haven't talked about is how to use the crate times that you might need it as the owner, right? Sometimes it's not just for the dog, sometimes it's for the owner.
Honestly, so say for example, you wake up in the morning, you take your dog out, and then you have to get ready for the day. You could put the dog back in the crate, and you can feed them in the crate, and then once they're done eating, take them out again. But anytime you can't be watching them, they should be chilling in the crate.
That's the exact phrase I use with the client. If you can't watch them, put them in the crate. I don't care what it is you're doing. If it's more than 30 seconds and you can't watch them, they need to be in the crate.
Absolutely, just like kids. Now let's get into the fun stuff, playtime and socializing. So what are your thoughts on that?
So still in the context of day one, right?
Yes.
I know you hear us talking about socializing all the time. Day one, don't worry about it. There's no way I'd be taking that puppy outside, to meet, all kinds of new people. It's too stressful. It's too scary. If you have one neighbor they want to meet, not the end of the world, but I would not be taking them to a farmer's market. I'm not taking them for a walk. This is day one.
Yeah.
Let's get used to the house. Let's get used to the family. So I wouldn't worry about socializing really at all right now. Any thoughts?
No,
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I agree 100%. But I do think playtime, with the family is totally fine as long as they get their rest after and they're able to socialize within the family. But like you said, I probably would not be taking them anywhere too crazy on day one. But definitely down the line when we get into socialization plans.
For sure. And I think we can make the argument day one, they are socializing in the house, right? Because they don't know any of us. They're meeting us. And we're training that puppy from the Humane Society right now. And when we brought him over, he'd never met any of us until yesterday, right? So he met you, he met all of us. And, that is socializing. We don't need to go anywhere else right now.
We don't want to overwhelm them.
Definitely. So we've just talked about the fact that meeting new people in the house is socializing, right? And you might have dogs, you might have kids in the house. So any thoughts there on how to do those introductions, on ways to make them go smoothly for people?
For sure. So we don't want to bombard them. So, meeting one person at a time is super important. Not having all the kids rush at once, and that can be very overwhelming and scary. So one at a time, calm introductions, letting the dog come to you, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to be like, hi, and come in too hot, putting your hand out, letting them sniff, and honestly, it's pretty simple from there.
Yeah, I agree. Every family's different, so you might be a single person with a dog. Now, you don't have to worry about any of this, but if you have 4 children and they run to the door and they're crazy excited to pick up the puppy and hold them, some puppies are going to be terrified by that, so you need to go nice and slow. And then if you have other dogs and cats in the house, you have to know your animals, right? If you have a 9-year-old golden retriever that's going to calmly walk to the door and say hi, probably pretty easy to handle. What would you suggest for someone that has, let's say, a 2-year-old dog that's excitable? How would you do that introduction?
I would honestly probably have the 2-year-old dog on leash and just really first calm the dog down so it doesn't rush the puppy as well. And having them probably in some sort of command as well, where the dog could be relaxed and let the puppy come to them, do some sniffs. And if they're into it and they want to play, let them play. If it's not going well, coexisting is totally fine too.
Yeah. I like that point. And the point about leashes there, leashes can be a lifesaver. So absolutely with the older dog, if you need a leash to keep them calm, do it, of course. And same with the puppy. So what we recommend to a client is you need to keep an eye on your puppy, right? You need to keep an eye on them. If you have, sometimes we tell people the smaller the house, the easier it is to deal with the puppy. If you have a small living room and you can just put one gate up, that's pretty easy. You can lock the puppy in there with you. You hang out, you can keep an eye on them. If you've got a big open floor plan house, it can be a nightmare to keep an eye on a puppy.
You're chasing them left and right. It's crazy.
Yep. So their gating is pretty much impossible. How often are you telling clients in that situation to use a leash or to keep the dog on leash?
Honestly, first week, anytime the dog's out, the leash should be on. It's just so much easier because the puppy will all of a sudden squeeze somewhere and you're like, where'd it go? Seeing the leash dragging is a good rule of thumb to follow where the dog's going.
Yeah. I kind of leave it up to the client. I tell them, if you have the leash on, it's going to be a lot easier.
True.
It's not essential, but you have to watch them every single second.
Yeah.
There's times it is essential, meeting another animal, it's pretty essential. Going outside, of course, it's essential. In the house, if it's going to be, I don't want my clients frustrated. So if I look at them and I know they're going to be frustrated trying to follow that dog or find out where it is, then I love the idea of a leash.
Yeah.
If they're going to be following them around anyways, keep an eye on them. And if they can use gait strategically, then I'm not too keen on a leash. I don't think it's as needed then.
Also, it's not really needed when the dog's actually behaving and staying in one spot and relaxing. So
Sure.
You can just unclip it when they're napping, and that's it.
Okay. So love that. It seems like a good segue to just easy things we can do to make life better that first day. Better for the dog, easier on you. First one in my mind is just giving them something to chew on. So you mentioned when they're in one spot. If you're kind of at wit's end, you've been following your dog around, you're frustrated, you just want to relax for a while and you don't want to use the crate. I love giving them something good to chew, get in the dog bed, put it in front of you, and you could read a book. You could watch TV. You could do whatever while they chew something. It's a great thing to work on just to buy yourself some sanity.
Absolutely.
So what about toys? I think having some toys can make a big difference.
Plush toys, any chew toys of any sort. We really like Benny Bones, but giving it in increments so it's not too much for their little puppy shark teeth as well. Yeah.
We have a video on item discernment. I definitely suggest watching it.
Yeah.
If you're not working in it with your dog and, first day, your puppy does not understand what's theirs and what's not. So we're watching them like a hawk and we're giving them a lot of great things to chew on. Holly just mentioned some good items, but make sure you have a lot for the dog to chew on just so they're, so they have something they can do without getting in trouble.
Spoil that puppy as much as you can.
And think about all the things in the house that they can't chew on.
Yeah.
Right? Like look at all the couch, pillow, rug. All of these things we tell the dog, don't chew this, don't touch this. We need to have lots of things that we say, chew this. Right, rip this up, have fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
I feel like we've covered a lot today.
Yeah.
This is day one, like we talked about. There's a lot ahead of you. I would recommend watch our videos on socializing your puppy.
Yeah, potty training your
puppy.
puppy.
Potty training is huge. Item discernment, we talked about that. I have a great video on how to claim space at the front door. It's a way to gain control without using obedience commands, and it works even before your dog knows commands.
Absolutely, and day one is a good time to start.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We've got a lot of new great videos coming out, and we're going to give you everything you need to raise the perfect puppy.